Cześć, tu Konrad. Zanim zaczniemy dzisiejszy odcinek, parę słów ode mnie po polsku. Jeśli chcesz zgubić parę kilogramów, przed rozpoczęciem odchudzania skonsultuj się ze swoim lekarzem rodzinnym, zasięgnij opinii dietetyka i innych osób, które zawodowo zajmują się tym zagadnieniem. Dziękuję. Słuchasz podcastu Angielski z Konradem. Jeśli chcesz popracować nad płynnością, nabrać odwagi do konwersacji, skorygować często popełniane błędy bądź poznać skuteczne metody nauki, ta audycja jest dla Ciebie. Remember, you're not at school, so chill out, kick back and enjoy yourself. Let's begin. Greetings and welcome to 2022. This is another episode of the podcast, episode 56, Weight Loss Made Simple. Thank you for all your generous donations made through my buycoffee.to account. You are all wonderful, good souls. I hope you are all well and willing to learn. Enjoy the show. Let's begin with some vocabulary. Treadmill. Treadmill. Bieżnia. Dumbbell. Dumbbell. Hantel. Bench. Bench. Ława. Deadlift. Deadlift. Martwy ciąg. Crunch. Crunch. Brzuszek, w sensie ćwiczenie. Another new year is upon us. That means I see crowds of people jogging in parks and working out in gyms. It's great. I hope to see that many in February, March, and the following months. Why do they do that, though? To be more fit and lose some weight, of course. That's one part of today's episode. I'd like to share my weight loss story with you and finally give you some pointers on how to make most of listening to podcasts in English. So my whole weight loss story came back to me while I was listening to a podcast, dealing with weight loss. Some stories strike a chord with you, you know? They seem familiar because they sound like something that has happened to you. It's an episode of the Art of Manliness podcast by Brett McKay. Despite the silly name, it's very well informed, grounded in reality show, dealing with all sorts of topics from health to history, even literature. Not that alpha male rubbish you can find online. So my story begins in 2008, my final year in high school. Conscription, mandatory military service, was a thing back then. Every single man in Poland was expected to serve in the military for a little under a year. There were some exceptions. The service was postponed if you decided to attend a university or denied if you had some serious health conditions. That's why before anybody began their time in the military, they had to receive a clean bill of health. Whether you wanted to serve or not, you had to go through medical examination to see if you are fit for duty. During my last year in high school, I really let myself go. That's when I weighed the most, over 110 kilograms. I didn't think that there was anything wrong with my weight, neither did my family or friends. I felt indifferent about it. However, the doctor who examined me didn't share my sentiment. He was quite an old guy, very old school, not a slight hint of political correctness about him. He had made himself very clear about my condition when he said, quote, "You are going to die before you reach the age of 30. He didn't talk about my passing as a possibility. In his eyes, it was inevitable. Nevertheless, I received a clean bill of health with an asterisk. Obesity was under that asterisk. The good doctor's words and that damn asterisk was the last straw. It's what made me decide to change my life around. The following year, I lost about 30 kilograms of excess weight and was able to maintain my baseline ever since. Okay, back to the podcast. Whenever you consume media in a foreign language, try to make it an active exercise. For example, after listening to a podcast, make a list of most important points made by the people who are talking, by interlocutors. That's what I have done for this episode. I have listened to another podcast and transformed about 50 or so minutes to a few bullet points. I'm going to provide you with an empty list. You will find it at the end of your notes for this episode. For now, let's go through my bullet points from the podcast I have listened to. Point number 1. Don't starve yourself. The main idea of weight loss is to introduce something called calorie deficit. The idea is simple. You burn more calories than you consume. As such, there are two ways to go about it. You either burn more calories than you consume, or the other way around. You take less calories in. Burn more calories, or take less calories in. Eat less. For the best results, you want to go with both, but be reasonable. You don't have to go on a rabbit food salad diet. Your body will hate you for that. Instead, try to find a nice equilibrium. If you don't work out at all and decide to take a few minutes a day to do a few push-ups, a few sit-ups, a few crunches, that's already a few more calories burnt. For me, giving up a big bag of crisps and 2 large chocolate bars a day was enough to reach a deficit. Moderate exercises and swimming only helped. I didn't have to go on a strict diet. It only took being a bit more mindful of what I eat. Of course, I occasionally treat myself to an unhealthy meal. However, it helps to put it into some perspective, into some context. Once a month, we have a movie night with Carolina. This is our cheat day. We order some burgers and fizzy drinks and enjoy ourselves. All right, point number 2. Introduce small habits that you are able to follow. Tiny habits are easy to introduce and easy to follow. Losing weight is not about a revolution. It's not about turning your life upside down. It's more of an evolution. Treat it as a longer process. Drink a glass of water the moment you wake up. Do the same thing before you go to bed. Staying hydrated boosts your metabolism, and it's something completely effortless on your part. If you have to drive a car to work, park it as far away from the office as possible. Within reason, of course. The same goes with grocery shopping. It won't replace a decent workout, but it's still a few steps more towards your goal. Another habit is a bit quirky. It's from another episode of the podcast I mentioned, The Art of Manliness. Brett's guest admitted to doing 2 push-ups after every bathroom break. Let's say you pee 10 times a day on average. That's 20 push-ups already. Again, as with calorie deficit, don't go overboard. Introduce one tiny habit at a time, once a week or once a month. If you are able to keep to it, then it's high time to start another one. Point number 3. Set a realistic specific goal. I won't go in depth too much here, since it's something I have mentioned in the very first episode of my podcast. Your goal should be a process. Just losing weight is not a goal. It's an outcome, a consequence. Losing a specific amount of weight in a specific period of time, now that's a goal. Realistically, you can only lose so much weight over a given time. Start small and work your way up. 1 kilogram a month is a small goal, but it's also a small win for you. Okay, point number 4, be patient. People don't gain kilograms of weight overnight. It's a process. So is losing weight. The more weight you want to lose, the more time you will need to lose it. Most doctors, dietitians, and fitness experts agree that 1 kilogram of body weight lost per month is a healthy amount, until you reach your optimal weight, that is. The closer you get to your baseline, the more engaging it will become. Number 5. Be inefficient. The less efficient you are, the more calories you burn. Imagine someone dancing in a ballet while wearing combat boots. They'll look silly, but they will also certainly break a sweat while doing it. Brett's guest gives an example of inefficient training by introducing an exercise he calls reverse rucking. Rucking is simply walking with weight. A person weighing 150 kilograms, for example, is already carrying a big amount of extra load. He's already inefficient. When one loses 10 kilograms, they add the lost weight back in a form of a heavy backpack, for example. Alright, here's another example of inefficiency working for you. You can make your push-ups more inefficient, harder, and more effective as a result by elevating your legs. Put them on an armchair, a sofa, a cupboard, and see how hard a simple push-up can get. Final point, point number 6, celebrate. Small celebrations of small achievements keep you motivated. Victories, however small they may be, deserve to be praised. Here's an example. There are loads of workout videos on YouTube. One that particularly caught my attention was called Arm Blaster. It's a 15-minute arm workout using dumbbells. When you finish the workout, the guy gives you a round of applause and a large sign on the screen appears saying, "You are a legend." That makes me chuckle every time and drives me to complete every single session. It can be something as simple as raising your hands or giving yourself a high five. I chime a riff from Iron Man by Black Sabbath. Allow me to demonstrate. Of course, I don't do it in public. I'm not a Looney Tune. Well, except when I'm with my daughter. You can get away with a lot more innocent nuttiness. It's time to wrap up. Let me end this episode by saying this. If you are considering losing some weight, be reasonable about your expectations. Exercise and diet were proven many times to be the best and the healthiest means to do it. Trust doctors, trust fitness experts, trust dietitians. If you find some alternative way of losing weight, be sure to consult it with a professional first. Alright, it's time for vocabulary revision. I will give you the word in English first, Polish second. It will be followed by an example sentence which you will hear twice. You can practice those sentences yourself. They're at the very end of your podcast notes. Let's go! Treadmill, treadmill. Bieżnia. Running on a treadmill helps you burn fat. Running on a treadmill helps you burn fat. Dumbbell, dumbbell. Hantel. Lifting dumbbells tones your muscles. Lifting dumbbells tones your muscles. Bench, bench. Ława. You can use a bench to lift weights. You can use a bench to lift weights. Deadlift, deadlift. martwy ciąg. Despite the name, deadlift is a great way to improve your back.